In today's video, we will be discussing codominance, incomplete dominance, and sex linkage, with relevance to the dot point, solving problems involving codominance, incomplete dominance, and sex linkage.
Gregor Mendel is known as the father of genetics. Through his work on pea plants, he has discovered the fundamental laws of inheritance. He deduced that genes come in pairs and are inherited as distinct units, one from each parent. Mendel tracked the segregation of parental genes and their appearance in the offspring as dominant or recessive traits.
These are Mendel's laws. The law of segregation. In diploid organisms, chromosome pairs and their alleles are separated into individual gametes to transmit genetic information to offspring. The law of independent assortment. Alleles on different chromosomes are distributed randomly to individual gametes. The law of dominance. A dominant allele completely masks the effects of a recessive allele. A dominant allele produces the same phenotype in heterozygotes and in homozygotes. However, when we look at codominance, incomplete dominance, and sex linkage, Mendel's 3-to-1 laws break down in these cases.
The first case being codominance, which is a form of dominance wherein the alleles of a gene pair in a heterozygote are fully expressed. This results in the offspring with a phenotype that is neither dominant nor recessive. An example of codominance is shown in the cross-pollination of a white and red camellia flower to give a red and white mixed camellia, and also between white and black chickens to create a checkered one. Another typical example of showing codominance is a red cow mating with a white bull, and therefore the offspring all being roan-coloured.
Roan is a gene that is codominant, which means that traits are equally expressed. Homozygous from roan gene will be white or red. Heterozygous for the roan gene will be roan. The amount of roan shown on the animal can vary a lot. Some will only have a bit of roan on the tail, face, hocks, or brisket. Some will be mostly white with a bit of colour thrown in here and there.
The second case to go against Mendel's theory is incomplete dominance. Incomplete dominance is similar to but different from codominance. In incomplete dominance, both alleles are expressed completely. This results in a third phenotype, in which the expressed physical trait is a combination of the phenotypes of both alleles. Some examples of this are snapdragons, horses, and sickle cells. Sickle cell anemia is another example of incomplete dominance. It is a disease that affects the formation of red blood cells in humans. The allele for sickled cells is recessive, and the allele for normal cells is dominant. Therefore, heterozygotes are called carriers, and do not have the actual disease. However, they do produce some sickled cells, and therefore their blood phenotypes show both the normal and the affected red blood cells. This is an example of incomplete dominance in humans, as the normal blood type and sickle cell blood type are expressed simultaneously.
Sex linkage is the phenotypic expression of an allele that is dependent on the gender of the individual and is directly tied to the sex chromosomes. In such cases, there is homogamic sex and heterogamic sex.
The X and Y sex chromosomes not only carry the genes that determine male and female traits, but also those for some other characteristics as well. Genes that are carried by either sex chromosomes are said to be sex-linked. Examples of sex linkage include the eye colour of flies, the colour of pigeons, and colour blindness in humans.
An example of sex linkage includes colour blindness in humans. The gene which is responsible for the condition is carried on the X chromosome, the 23rd chromosome, and this is the reason why many more men are affected than women, as men only have one X chromosome. Subsequently, genes on that chromosome not coding for gender are usually expressed in the male phenotype, even if they are recessive, since there are no corresponding genes on the Y chromosome in most cases. In women, a recessive allele on one X chromosome is often masked by their phenotype by a dominant normal allele on the other. This explains why women are frequently carriers of X-linked traits, but rarely are expressed in their own phenotypes. A colourblind boy cannot receive a colourblind gene from his father, even if his father is colourblind, because his father can only pass an X chromosome to his daughters.
In this video, we have covered how codominance, incomplete dominance, and sex linkage goes against Mendel's laws, We have also discussed codominance, which is referred to as a mixture and have solved problems to do with growing cattle. Discussed incomplete, which is described as a blend and have solved problems including the disease sickle cell anemia. We have also discussed sex linkage and how it works, as well as problems in relation to colour blindness.